Hey guys, Phil here. Just got done bowling the Wednesday night Sport Shot Sweeper at Roll House of Parma. Uh, it had games of 206, 189, 202, and then I really lost it at 150 something, 140 something, 150 something. Um, my biggest takeaway is, I was in the running. I was close to the number for 85% of the night. And even when I started bowling horribly, I couldn't carry anything because I'm sticking to not watching other people bowl. I didn't realize that while I was struggling, so was every other person, minus maybe like Miko and Martez Walker. Shout out, guys. Um, and when all was said and done, despite the fact shooting 149, I was still 21 or 22 pins out of the number to make the step ladder final, which sucked because I missed a couple very, very makeable spares that last game. Um, didn't execute as well as I could have. Missed the transition, which I think that's my biggest thing that I need to work on is being able to catch transition before it happens, and being able to adjust on the fly. Um, However, overall, looking at the bigger picture, um, especially those first three games up until probably the ninth or 10th frame of the third game, I was filling frames every frame. I was making my makeables. I was leaving makeable spares, which is huge on that U.S. Open pattern. Um, that U.S. Open pattern was flat, flat, flat to all hell. And despite the um, game plan going in, because my original game plan was to go in with my IQ 78, um, sanded down to 500 grit, just sand the heck out of it. Um, the thing just wasn't reading for some reason in practice. Um, and I had the wild idea to throw my Equinox Solid, um, which is a very boom boomy ball, especially on a very flat U.S. Open pattern. The ball was reading surprisingly well, so that was the ball of choice for 90% of my night. Um, but yeah, overall, it was a learning experience, and I think that's my biggest difference between my attitude now and my attitude when I was bowling back in 2017, before I hurt my knee and before I got myself into a little bit of trouble. Um, I have a short term memory now. I can forget about a bad shot, and if I throw a bad shot, I can immediately come back with a strike, and that's huge. I'm able to turn my 170, 180 games into 2-0, 2-10s. I think looking forward and moving forward, I need to figure out how I'm going to turn my 2-0 and 2-10 games into 220 and 230 games. Because I've always been, especially during longer block tournaments, I've always been able to pop off and shoot a 250, 260 game. especially when I settle in and find a groove. But I have to be able to take my lower games and turn them into games that can compete. And I think that's essentially what makes the difference between somebody who's really good and somebody who can compete with the best in the world. And, obviously that's ultimately where I'm trying to be. I'm trying to compete with the best in the world. Um, you know, Deep down, I do know I'm not the greatest in the world. However, in order to compete with the best in the world, you do have to have the mindset that you are the best in the world and that you can beat anybody that's on the bowling alley with you. I guess to wrap up here, shout out to, I know Scott McIntyre, I know Martez Walker, and Miko Walker were three of the four guys that made the step ladder. Shout out to those guys. They bowled really well all night. Special shout out to Scott, who was bowling on my pair. Scott, I said that if you're watching this at any point in time, I said this to you while we were bowling our fourth game. It is huge to be able to transition from bowling one-handed, which you've done your entire life, to commit to bowling two-handed. Win, lose, or draw, no matter how good or bad that you bowl, you're committed to it. And that speaks volumes to your tenacity, to how fierce of a competitor that you really are. And I really commend you for that, because that is not an easy thing to do. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay and watch the entire step ladder. I'm sure Megan will post the results here soon. If you're ever watching this, I hope you bowled well. To everybody that's following me on my journey, what's next moving forward? My next tournament is my PBA qualifier. It's going to be 6 games of qualifying. Top 8 make the match play final. And then top 8 bowl against each other, cut to 4. Those 4 bowl against each other, cut to 2. And then the winner of that final 2 will win an entry into the PBA Ohio Classic in April, which is a national tour title event. And that's huge. Ultimately, my goal is to bowl on TV and to be successful bowling on TV. But I got a long road ahead of me. Thank you guys for coming on the journey. Shout out Storm. Shout out Bowlify for the sweet jersey. Shout out to everybody that's supported me to this point, and shout out to everybody that has welcomed me back with open arms. I love you guys. Thank you.